begins part 2 tutoring of computer tomography. I have already done one session for computer tomography, that is part 1, and those who have not yet watched have watched that video, then it will be more clear in watching this video. So I'll be sharing the link of part 1 of computer tomography in my description box. So let us begin with the 11th question. The numerical information contained in each pixel is called option A CT number, option B intensity, option C attenuation coefficient, and option D is density. The answer is option A CT number. So let's see the explanation. The two-dimensional picture element that makes up the matrix. Each pixel represents a CT number and it is a building block of the matrix and image. So you know that the matrix size of the CT image is 512 into 512 and each pixel forms a matrix, and that volume element is known as the voxel and this pixel is known as the picture element, and this is a two-dimensional picture element, and that pixel contains the CT number. CT number is the attenuation value number. So let's see the next question number 12. The CT number is also known as option A HU, option B MHU, option C is LAC, and option D is TWF. The answer is option A HU. HU means Hounsfield unit. You all know that the CT was invented by Godfrey N. Hounsfield. With respect to the name of the scientist, CT number is also known as Hounsfield unit. So let's see the explanation. CT number means the number used to represent the X-ray attenuation associated with each elemental area of the CT image. So what is happening when an X-ray photon falls on the patient's body? Attenuation is happening. What is meant by attenuation? Attenuation is the reduction of the intensity of the X-ray beam either by absorption or by scattering. So few of the X-ray photons will be absorbed to form an image, and these attenuated photons are building up an image. Whereas the scattered photons, who is receiving the scattered photon is received by the radiation worker. Moving on to the next question, question number 13. Which of the following has an HU value of approximately negative 90? Option A fat, option B grey matter, option C water, and option D is lung. The answer is option A fat. So we are having different CT number. With respect to the CT number, we are distinguishing one organ from the other in a CT image. Since the liver having some another CT number, grey matter is having another CT number, white matter another CT number. With respect to the difference in the CT number, that means the Hounsfield unit, we are distinguishing one organ from the other. So let's see the CT number. That means 15HU to 22HU corresponds to the white matter, while 23HU to 30HU corresponds to the grey matter. Whereas for the water it is 0 and for air it is negative 1000, while in the case of bone it is positive 1000. So each tissue is having different CT number, and with respect to that CT number, we are distinguishing the organ of interest, and the CT number corresponds to the attenuation value. Attenuated X-ray photons corresponds to this CT number. You will be getting more clear if you are watching my video related with CT number. I have done one lecture related with CT numbers, window level, window width, and all those things. I'll be sharing that link also in my description box so that it will be more clear for you to understand. Moving on to the next question, question number 14. CT number were proportional to the option A atomic number, option B matrix size, option C linear attenuation coefficient, and option D is energy of X-ray photon. So the CT number were proportional to the linear attenuation coefficient. So the answer is option C. So let's see the explanation. That is, linear attenuation coefficient mu is a constant that describes the fraction of attenuated incident photon in a monoenergic beam per unit thickness of a material. So you all know that the CT is the cross-sectional anatomy, and we are taking thickness of area of interest we are imaging in the case of CT. So the CT corresponds to the linear attenuation coefficient. Actually, we are having two attenuation coefficient, linear as well as mass attenuation coefficient. Mass attenuation corresponds to in kilograms. So it is not having any role in diagnostic radiology or in the case of CT. So CT corresponds to linear attenuation coefficient with the unit thickness of a material. Corresponds to what? Fraction of the attenuated incident photons per unit thickness of a material. Moving on to the next question, question number 15. The internal structure of body attenuates the X-ray beam according to their option A size, option B field of view, option C slice thickness, and option D is atomic number. The answer is option D, atomic number. Let's see the explanation. A higher atomic number material will attenuate more X-rays than a low atomic number material. So CT corresponds, the basic principle of CT is what? The internal structure of a body can be reconstructed from multiple projections. This is a basic principle of CT, and depending upon the atomic number, the internal structure of the body attenuates the X-ray beam according to their atomic number. So higher is the atomic number means what? More X-rays are attenuated than a lower atomic number material. Moving on to the next question, question number 16. Which of the following interaction occur when high energy X-ray photons are used in CT? As you all know, we are using a constant kVp in CT, and it is about 120. kVp means kilovolt peak. So let's see the options. Option A photoelectric, option B Compton scattering, option C coherent scattering, and option D is pair production. So all these interactions are happening when and in, these are the all these four options are the interactions of photon with matter. The answer for this question is option B Compton scattering. Actually, in diagnostic radiology, among these four interactions, the interaction which is happening in diagnostic radiology is photoelectric effect. That is, kV range, it is photoelectric effect. Whereas in radiotherapy, we are using megavolt energy. So the interaction happening is Compton scattering. In this case, in diagnostic radiology, from this question, you will understand that when the kVp is increasing, the interaction changes. So usually in diagnostic radiology, the predominant interaction is photoelectric effect, whereas when the kVp is increasing, it will changes into Compton interaction or Compton scattering. When you are taking an X-ray using a kV range, and when you are taking an X-ray using an MV range, which one will be having more contrast? More contrast will be corresponds to the image we have exposed using a kV range. But the disadvantage of photoelectric effect is that the patient dose is high. Moving on to the explanation, the Compton scattering is discovered by Arthur Hawley Compton. It is a scattering of the photon after an interaction with a charged particle, usually an electron. Moving on to the next question, question number 17. The range of CT number above and below the window level is called the option A window level, option B window width, option C window slice, and option D is all of the above. The answer is option B window width. So the range of the CT scale, you might have seen, or if you have not observed, you just see from today onwards. So when we are acquiring one cross-sectional image, To the side of that cross-sectional image, you can see the scale shown. That scale corresponds to the window width, and the mid of that scale is known as the window level. So what is meant by window width? The CT image is composed of a range of CT numbers, and this range of numbers is referred to that the window width, and you can see that scale is known as the window width. Moving on to the next question, question number 18. In currently available CT scanner, K has a value of option A 100, option B 1000, option C 10,000, and option D is 1 lakh. The answer is option B 1000. So let's see the explanation. CT number means a number used to represent the X-ray attenuation associated with each elemental area of the CT image, and the CT number can be calculated from this equation K in the bracket, that is Ux minus Uw bracket Uw, where K is a constant, 1000, value of 1000, where the Horsfield scale of CT number is used. Ux is the linear attenuation coefficient of the material of interest, and Uw is the linear attenuation. So from this equation you can calculate the CT number. Moving on to the next question, question number 19. The thickness of a CT slice is controlled by the option A detector configuration, option B exposure factor, option C target angle, and option D is filament size. The answer is option A detector configuration. In MSCT, that is multi-slice CT, the slice thickness is determined by detector configuration and not by X-ray beam collimation. Moving on to the next question, question number 20. The main advantage of helical CT over conventional CT is improved. Option A, spatial resolution. Option B, data acquisition rate. Option C, patient dose. And option D is image reconstruction time. The answer is option B, data acquisition rate. So the conventional CT is the old CT or the third generation CT, and the modified third generation CT is known as the helical CT or the spiral CT. So the main advantage of helical CT over conventional CT is improved data acquisition rate. And let's see the explanation. The most important advantage of helical CT over conventional CT are the shorter examination time. The examination time have reduced, which decreases the image degradation from motion artifacts, that is patient movement artifact. Even in infants and in young children, the capacity for retrospective image reconstruction, which decreases image degradation from volume averaging. And then the next another advantage is that improved multiplanar reconstruction. So with that, I'm winding up today's session. Hope today's session is clear. With that, I'm winding up. Stay tuned till next Sunday for my next class. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and bye-bye.